My sweet aunt handed me her winning lottery ticket. Then I uncovered she'd been living 2 lives, and one was deadly. You won't believe her secret. When Aunt Marlene swept into my cramped apartment clutching a crisp envelope, I thought she was simply stopping by to visit. Instead, she thrust the envelope into my hands and beamed. "Marlene, darling, consider this your gift. My winning lottery ticket. I don't need it now." I paused mid-sip of my instant coffee. The ticket's numbers matched the front page headline. $42 million jackpot. My heart fluttered. "Me? Aunt Marlene, are you sure?" She nodded with a mischievous wink. "You've been struggling. Rent, rent, rent. It's time someone in this family got lucky." For a moment, I felt a surge of gratitude and disbelief. Marlene was my mother's older sister, always spry, reeking of perfume, with stories that stretched credulity. She lived alone in a charming brownstone uptown, her past always a little hazy. I fetched my glasses to confirm. The drawing date was 2 weeks past, the claim deadline looming in 4 days. I slid the ticket into my wallet and hugged her, overwhelmed. "Me? You're incredible. Marlene, just wait. There's more. We'll celebrate tonight." That evening, we dined at a jazz club downtown. She sipped champagne while I stared at the ticket on the table between us. Luxuries I'd only dreamed of, paying off debts, a down payment on an apartment, travel, these suddenly seemed within reach. Amid the saxophone's sultry wail, Marlene leaned close, voice low. "Marlene, don't cash it just yet. I'll handle everything." "Me? Why? I can go with you to the lottery office." She placed a slender finger on my lips. "Trust me. I've done this before." My pulse quickened. "Before?" Marlene laughed softly, but I saw a flash of something darker in her eyes. A flicker of fear? Regret? I pressed no further that night. Regret. A week passed. Marlene called daily, instructing me to pick up groceries at her place, check her mail, and water her plants. Each time, the ticket remained untouched in my wallet, stashed beneath my socks. On the 4th morning, I arrived at her brownstone to discover the door ajar. My heart raced as I stepped in, calling her name. The apartment smelled of jasmine and dust. Her hat collection lined the foyer. I found the ticket, now missing from my wallet, on her coffee table, next to a flash drive and a blank sheet of paper embossed with a stylized crest, an intertwined M and S. Before I could think, my phone buzzed. A text from Marlene. "Urgent. Come down now." I rushed to the lobby and found her in a hallway, pale and trembling. "Marlene, they know, sweetie. I can't keep hiding." "Me? Who knows what?" She gestured behind her door. I glanced through the peephole. 2 men in dark suits, their faces obscured, rifling through her safe. One held her family portrait. Mom, Dad, and toddler me. Me. "Marlene, what are they doing?" She grabbed my arm. "They think I took the ticket. I have to disappear." My mind shattered. "Disappear?" Me. "You can't run from your own family and your own fortune." She shook her head, eyes glassy. "You don't understand. They'll kill me if I don't give it up." As the men rattled the doorknob, she shoved the flash drive into my hand. "Take this, learn the truth, and protect yourself." I swallowed hard. "Marlene." "Marlene. No questions. Just go." I backed away as she slammed the door, cutting off her own escape. Those men pounded and moved on, leaving me stunned in the silent hallway. Clutched in my palm was the ticket, now soaked with adrenaline, and the flash drive. A chill ran through me. My aunt's gift had become a trap. Back home, I locked my door and inserted the drive into my laptop. A single folder appeared. MS Urgent. Inside, identity.docx, timeline.pdf, instructions.txt. I opened instructions.txt. You have 48 hours. Read the identity file. Trust no one. Cash the ticket at noon, then follow the timetable. I'll explain on the other side. M. My pulse hammered. I dove into identity.docx, which revealed Marlene Sparks was born Marisol Santiago in 1968. She disappeared from her Miami family after a minor scandal, embezzlement from her father's business. No arrest, just vanishing. Later, she reappeared as Marlene Sparks, an heiress to a minor real estate fortune. The police file ends with no further leads. Next, timeline.pdf plotted her life. 1968 to 1988. Childhood in Miami, luxury and family pressure. 1988. Embezzlement allegations. Marisol disappears. 1988 to 2000. No records. Possible witness protection. 2000. Emerges in New York as Marlene Sparks. Marries. Inherits from distant relative. 2023. Purchases brownstone. Enters lottery syndicate anonymously. 2025. Wins $42 million jackpot. My head spun. Aunt Marlene was living under a false identity for decades. The syndicate? Those men at her door must be after that ticket, or after her real identity. The drive's clock ticked. 48 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. With time slipping through my fingers, I called Marlene, but her line went straight to voicemail. The next 48 hours would determine both our fates and the fate of that ticket. I sat at the kitchen table, eyes flicking between the instructions and the real-world clock. It was noon tomorrow. By then, I had to cash the ticket and follow steps to uncover her dangerous secret before her pursuers caught up. My world pivoted on one question. What had Marlene done that made the lottery a curse, not a blessing? Update 1. I woke before dawn, the weight of the flash drive pressing in my pocket like a hidden grenade. The 48-hour clock on Marlene's instructions ticked relentlessly toward noon tomorrow, when I must cash the ticket and step into her world of half-truths and high-stakes danger. I arrived at the state lottery office just after it opened, wearing a baseball cap, sunglasses, and a nondescript hoodie. I carried the winning ticket tucked inside a manila envelope, its edges still crisp. Inside my jacket was the flash drive and a small notebook for notes. The lobby was already busy with hopeful claimants. I kept my head low, strode to the counter, and slid the envelope through the glass partition. Clerk. Big winner? Me. Yes. I need to claim it discreetly. She tapped at her keyboard. I'll take your ID and do the usual protocol. Payout options are lump sum or annuity. I rocked on my heels. Lump sum, I said, heart thudding. Please, check my privacy settings. No press releases or photos. Clerk, standard policy. We'll keep your name off the website. Just sign here. I signed, paused, then added beneath my signature, confidential claim, no public disclosure. She raised an eyebrow but accepted it. Moments later, I walked out clutching a secure courier envelope stamped privileged. Inside lay checks worth $21 million after taxes. My hands shook as I slipped them into my backpack. Next, I headed to Marlene's brownstone, lights still off. I parked a block away, then crept to her back gate. Using the hidden spare key she'd given me months ago, just in case, I slipped inside. The apartment felt like a time capsule. Antique furniture, perfume bottles, her wide-brimmed hats arrayed on pegs. On the coffee table lay the flash drive and a second note. Meet me at Larkspur Cafe, 3 p.m. Come alone. Bring the ticket funds. Wear something unassuming. Trust no one. M. I tucked the note away and glanced at the envelope of checks. The sum was impossible, life-changing. But with it came Marlene's tangled past. 2 identities, a vanished sister, and unknown enemies. I inserted the flash drive into Marlene's laptop, which she'd left open, Gmail logged in and ready. I copied the 3 files to the desktop, then began with timeline.pdf. The timeline detailed not just her disappearance, but an embedded code. Each life event time-stamped with coordinates. 1988, Miami, coordinate A. 2000, New York, coordinate B. 2025, New Jersey, coordinate C. Marlene's cryptic note in instructions.txt mentioned, follow the timetable to coordinate D. buried text that appeared only when I hovered over the PDF margins. The hidden coordinates led to a location on the outskirts of Newark, an abandoned warehouse district. She wants me to go there at midnight tomorrow. Why? I didn't know. But I sensed that the ticket's story was entwined with that place, and with Marlene's secret identity as Marisol Santiago. As I examined the laptop, a soft click sounded behind me. I spun to see one of the men from Marlene's hall, taller, wearing a dark overcoat, slipping inside. Man, you have what she promised. I pressed a finger to my lips. You're not invited. He frowned, advancing. Your aunt has double-crossed relevant parties. Hand over the checks and drive, or there will be consequences. My pulse pounded. Without hesitation, I clicked shut down on the laptop, grabbed the envelope, and backed toward the door. Don't underestimate me. I dashed out, slamming the back gate, and sprinted to my car. The man's footsteps followed until I backed out and sped away into the gray dawn. Securing the funds. Heart racing, I hid the envelope in the trunk and drove to my bank's 24-hour vault. Using my dual-access safe deposit box, secured by my mother's power of attorney, I slid the checks into a deposit envelope and locked them away. The box handle clicked shut, and I breathed out for the first time since morning's first light. I phoned my financial advisor. Placed the funds in a separate trust account. No electronic trail to me or my aunt. Advisor: that's very unusual. Are you okay? I'll explain later. Just do it. By mid-afternoon, I had fulfilled Marlene's first instruction, cash the ticket, yet the 48-hour clock still ticked. At 3 p.m., I needed to be at Larkspur Cafe, a known mob hangout, according to my quick Google intel. I spent midday staking it out, parking in a side alley and watching suited patrons flow in. At 2:45, I slipped inside under a plain wool coat. I spotted Marlene at a rear booth, half hidden in shadow. She looked tired, older than her years. As I approached, she slid the flash drive back to me. Marlene, you did well. Now we move to the next step. I slid the cash-sealed envelope onto the table. What have I walked into? She studied me. My real danger isn't the men. You saw one before. It's bigger. The lottery was a front for money laundering, and the jackpot winner must fulfill a service contract. This hearing, and the driver's license with a new name, you're next in line. My blood ran cold. Aunt Marlene's gift was no kindness. It was a transfer of an illicit obligation, and I had just accepted it. I'm no partner in crime. She closed her eyes, regret flickering. I'm trying to save you. The contract is signed in your name, unless you break it within 12 hours by delivering the flash drive's contents to Coordinate D. What's on this drive? Marlene. Evidence of their identities, laundering routes, and my original name. You hand it over at midnight at Newark Dock 17, and they'll release us both. Missed the deadline. They come for you, and then for your family. She handed me a pen. Beneath the drive lay a document. Assignment agreement, in fine print, with my name and signature already forged. I'm trapped? Marlene. Only if you sign and follow instructions. It's now or never. The sun dipped low as I left the cafe, the flash drive burning in my pocket, the contract's forged signature haunting me. The men's shadows lurked in every parked car. Aunt Marlene's lottery gift had ensnared me in a criminal conspiracy far more dangerous than I'd feared. My only chance was to decode her hidden evidence, reach the Newark coordinates at midnight, and break free. But first, I had to understand the full scope of her double life. If I failed, my inheritance and my life would vanish into the underworld of lottery lies. Update 2. Night fell as I drove toward Newark's abandoned docklands, the city's skyline a distant glimmer. My headlights cut through mist as I approached Dock 17, a desolate stretch of cracked pavement and rusted shipping containers. The clock on my dash read 11:45 p.m. I parked behind a battered semi-trailer, its engine quietly idling. In my pocket, the flash drive felt unnaturally heavy. I slipped out, hood drawn, and crept among the containers. At the far end, a dim spotlight illuminated a metal crate. 2 dark figures stood guard. Figure 1, "You're late." Me, "Package as requested." I held up the drive. They nodded, motioning me forward. One of the men, tall, broad-shouldered, opened the crate lid. Inside lay stacks of uncut cash. He took the drive and examined it. Guard, "Content correct?" Me, "Marlene's timeline, the laundering routes, IDs." He inserted the drive into a portable reader. A progress bar flickered. I watched them scan files, lists of offshore accounts, names of shadowy executives, photos of smuggled trunks. Guard, "This confirms you stepped in." "You're in." He handed me a slim envelope. Inside, a clean bill of release with my name printed. Assignment release. Jonathan Myers. Contract nullified. No further obligations. I exhaled. My signature, Marlene's gift, was rendered void. The price of freedom. As the files finished copying, the second guard stepped forward with a folder. He flipped it open, revealing a photograph of Marlene decades younger, standing beside a man in plainclothes, FBI insignia on his lapel. Guard 2, "Don't think you've exposed us. She was an informant, Marisol Santiago. We granted her a new identity for protection. That ticket win was our money. Now she squealed." My blood ran cold. The lottery jackpot had been stolen from federal forfeiture, money intended for crime victims. By gifting me the ticket, Marlene had drawn me into a sting operation. The syndicate these men represented was a clandestine branch of the Bureau, rogue agents laundering tainted funds to compensate her. Me, I thought they were criminals. Guard 1, "Crime's in the details. Now you're off the hook. Go home and forget this ever happened." They handed me the flash drive, now empty, and stepped back into the shadows. I tucked the release and drive into my jacket and retraced my steps to the car. By 12:30 a.m., I was on the expressway, heart pounding. My mind reeled with new truths. Marlene's double life as an FBI informant, rogue agents funding her through illegal lottery schemes, and my unwitting role in their operations. The release meant I was free, but that also meant Marlene would need even deeper protection. Back at my apartment, I locked every door, double-checked the windows, and sank onto the couch. My phone buzzed. A text from Marlene's untraceable number. "You did it. Now burn everything except this release. I'll be in touch. Love, M." I stared at the message, the weight of her trust settling on my shoulders. The clock read 1 a.m. 4 hours remained on her 48-hour window. I pulled the release document under a small shredder, watched it disintegrate, then deleted the countdown timer from my notes. Marlene's instructions had led me here. I'd risk everything to save her, only to discover her lottery gift was a lifeline in a far more dangerous net. As dawn approached, I resolved to find her, learn why she needed protection, and decide if I could keep loving the aunt who'd lied so brilliantly. Update 3. Pre-dawn light filtered through my living room blinds as I gathered my gear: car keys, phone, a backpack, and a printout of the clues on Marlene's timeline. According to identity.docx, her safe house was in a quiet cul-de-sac 2 towns over. I had less than 24 hours before the countdown expired completely. I drove through winding suburban streets until I reached the address: a modest ranch house with cream-colored siding and rose bushes in the front yard. No lights shone inside. I parked a block away, slipped on a baseball cap, and approached on foot. A single window on the side was cracked open. I could hear faint murmurs inside. Pressing my ear to the wall, I recognized Marlene's voice. "Marlene, you said you'd extract me tonight." Voice 2, "We have a gap in protection unless you come with me now." I waited until the murmurs ceased, then slipped through the open window, dropping silently onto the carpeted floor. The living room was sparsely furnished: a couch, a side table with a lamp, and a small desk against the far wall. An unmade bed peeked through a doorway. I crept toward the desk, where her laptop lay closed and a manila envelope sat, addressed to me in elegant script. Heart pounding, I flipped it open. Inside, plane ticket for Marlene to Lisbon, leaving at 6 p.m. tonight. Copy of a sealed court order granting her witness protection as Marisol Santiago. A handwritten note. Meet me at the airport baggage claim at 5:30. We'll go together. M. Before I could digest it, footsteps sounded behind me. I spun. Marlene stood in the doorway, eyes wide. Marlene. Jonathan, you shouldn't be here. Me. I couldn't leave you out there. Those agents are part of Rogue Bureau faction. She sighed, relief mixing with fear. They tracked the release document. They know it was real. They'll come for me, and for you, if we linger. We slipped out through the back door into the cool morning air. In the car, Marlene explained in terse whispers. Marlene, the Rogue faction, call them Section X, launders forfeited crime victim funds through lottery tickets to launder money off books. I was their informant, feeding intel to the real FBI. They promised me a new identity, but Section X never released me. They kept me on a leash, demanding I win again. Me. You ran, and they bought the jackpot to control you. Marlene? Exactly. I had to vanish as Marisol. Marlene Sparks was the only safe persona, but now that ticket exchange exposed everything. My chest tightened. So Lisbon is real safe haven? She nodded. Portugal's witness protection program is robust. I can get documents under a new name, no digital trail. Me. But what about me? They know I have the release. Marlene's eyes filled with tears. They'll target anyone connected. You need to disappear too, or risk interrogation. We veered onto the highway, heading toward a back road that led to a private airstrip. Marlene's next rendezvous. I glanced at the unopened envelope on the passenger seat. Me. We can't simply run. We need leverage. Something Section X fears, she considered. The flash drive contained their entire operation. Names, dates, laundering trails. It's explosive evidence. If we leak it to the real FBI, or a trusted journalist, they'll be forced to dismantle Section X. Me. Then you're no longer alone. We go public after we're safe. She nodded firmly. We need a secure drop, encrypted upload to a sealed evidence portal. Then they'll come clean. Airport tensions. By 4 p.m. we reached the private airstrip. A single runway, a small terminal, and a silver turboprop waiting. Marlene clutched her plane ticket and a passport in a Ziploc. I carried the flash drive in a Faraday pouch to prevent remote wiping. At the terminal door, a suited man barred our path, Section X's liaison. His smile was thin. Liaison. Miss Sparks, so kind of you to arrive on time. Marlene steeled herself. I'm leaving. Hand over any grievances to my attorney. He laughed. Your attorney is a myth. We own the courts. My palms sweated. I stepped forward. We have a release signed by your own men. I have evidence of your crimes. He looked past me, then back at Marlene. You betray us one more time, they kill your family. Marlene's gaze hardened. I'll go to Lisbon, then I'll release everything. He signaled to 2 guards behind him. I placed a hand on Marlene's arm. Don't. Before they could move, blaring sirens cut through the air. A convoy of unmarked vehicles screeched in and surrounded the terminal. Agents in FBI jackets emerged, guns drawn. Lead agent, FBI, step away and hands where we can see them. The Section X liaison paled and melted back. Marlene and I stepped aside as the real FBI took control. Inside the terminal office, Special Agent Ruiz approached. He was the one Marlene had covertly briefed 2 months ago. Agent Ruiz. Marlene Santiago, officially protected. You're safe now. He turned to me. Jonathan Myers. I'm impressed. You did exactly what she asked. He glanced at the flash drive. We've intercepted Section X's communications for years. This evidence will put them all behind bars. Me. What about the ticket money? Agent Ruiz nodded toward a secure vault room. Funds have been impounded. Victims' restitution fund, then legitimate lotteries. You and your aunt can claim any owed amounts through standard channels. No strings attached. Marlene exhaled, relief washing over her. Marlene. I never thought I'd see this day. I squeezed her hand. Together. By dusk, Marlene and I boarded the turboprop, now guarded by FBI escorts. She settled into the leather seat, carrying only her new passport and a duffel bag. I squeezed her hand again as the engines roared. Agent Ruiz. Next stop, Lisbon's Witness Protection Program. You're both safe. As the plane lifted off into the night sky, I watched Newark's lights fade, carrying Marlene's secret with us, sealed, exposed, and finally free. Update 4. Lisbon's damp spring breeze greeted us as we disembarked from the turboprop. The airport's private exit led directly to a blacked-out SUV, flanked by plainclothes FBI agents. Marlene climbed in, clutching her new passport. I followed, settling into the seat beside her. Within hours, we arrived at our safe house, a pastel townhouse nestled in a quiet Lisbon neighborhood. Whitewashed walls, wrought iron balconies, and bougainvillea vines lent it a fairy tale air. Inside, a furnished suite awaited. Fresh linens, a stocked kitchenette, and a small office with a secure laptop for our encrypted communications. Agent Ruiz, you're now under Portuguese witness protection. Your new identities are active. Marisol Santiago becomes Maria de Santos, and you, Jonathan Myers, become João Miranda. All official records have been updated. Marlene Maria smiled with relief. It's strange to become someone new at 56. Me, but in safety, and free to live without fear. Back in the United States, Section X's exposure made international headlines. Within days, 5 rogue agents were arrested, including the liaison at Dock 17 and the 2 men who broke into Marlene's brownstone. Senate hearings convened to oversee FBI reforms, focusing on unauthorized money laundering operations. Lottery commissions audited backlogged apparent winners, safeguarding future jackpots from similar schemes. Our story was cited in major exposés, how a secret informant and her nephew toppled a clandestine network. Though our names were changed, reporters hinted at the real identities, prompting swift legal action to seal our privacy. With Section X dismantled, Maria and I contacted the Portuguese lottery authorities, who coordinated with the U.S. State Office. Through secure channels and witness protection protocols, we reclaimed the $21 million lump sum. The funds were split into $5 million to a U.S. Victims Restitution Fund, as per federal agreement, $10 million placed in a joint, offshore trust compliant with both U.S. and Portuguese regulations, ensuring anonymous stewardship, $6 million to our personal protective fund, enabling us to start anew. Maria, it feels bittersweet to profit from a forced gamble. João, but we used the winnings to right wrongs and protect our future. In the following weeks, we set guidelines for our windfall. Anonymized charities. We donated $2 million to global anti-corruption NGOs tied to legal reform. Family Support Trust. $1 million each to distant Miami relatives, ensuring Marlene's estranged family could access funds without revealing her identity. Personal start. We purchased a boutique guest house in Sintra under Maria's new name, maintaining discreet listings to generate passive income. Educational endowment. We created the Marlene Myers Scholarship at her childhood Miami High School, funding students aspiring to journalism and public service. Each decision balanced our security needs with a commitment to justice and generosity. Late one evening, seated on the guest house terrace under lantern light, Maria and I reflected on our journey. Maria, I lied to protect you, but I never imagined dragging you into this. João, you saved lives, mine included. Together, we exposed corruption. That's worth more than any ticket. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. I'm proud of us. João, me too. We turned lottery lies into a legacy of truth. Update 5. A year had passed since Maria de Santos and I landed in Lisbon under new identities. The guest house in Sintra flourished. Our scholarship program supported its first cohort, and Section X's trials concluded in convictions. Yet the final test of our rebirth came not from danger, but from legacy, the tangible proof that our ordeal had meaning. On a bright May morning, I joined Maria at her childhood high school's auditorium in Miami, costumed now as Escola Secundaria Maristela de Santos for privacy. 20 students sat on stage, their names scrolled on a backdrop, the inaugural Marlene Myers Scholars. Among them was Isabella Cruz, a shy junior who dreamed of journalism but lacked funds. Principal: these scholars have demonstrated resilience, integrity, and a passion for truth. Values embodied by our benefactors, Ms. Maria de Santos and Mr. João Miranda. Maria stepped up, clutching her speech notes. Maria, as someone who took on a false identity to expose lies, I know the power of truth. This scholarship honors those who seek facts and justice. Isabella, your first article on community policing impressed our committee. Your voice matters. She handed Isabella a certificate and a check. Isabella's eyes welled as she hugged Maria. Isabella, thank you. Thank you for believing in me. I watched from the wings, pride swelling. Our secret past had seeded real futures. After the ceremony, I escorted Maria to a private meeting with her estranged cousin, Carlos Santiago, now a community organizer in Little Havana. Carlos had never forgiven Marisol for vanishing years ago. He rose, guarded, as we entered a quiet conference room. Carlos, you disappeared without a word, only rumors of scandal. Maria exhaled. I couldn't risk enemies finding my family. But I missed you all. I stepped forward with a folder. Proof of Section X's crimes, the sealed court orders, and a letter of apology from the U.S. Attorney's Office acknowledging her service and granting posthumous reparations to her Miami kin, me. Maria's testimony brought justice. These documents clear her name. Carlos pored over them, tears filling his eyes. Carlos, you saved so many. Thank you for not disappearing forever. They embraced, an echo of years lost but promises renewed. Back in Sintra, the guest house had become more than shelter. It was a community hub. Under Maria's direction, we hosted monthly story nights where travelers and locals shared personal journeys, writing workshops for scholarship recipients, guided by Isabella over video link. Art exhibitions showcasing Lisbon's street artists, reinforcing our commitment to creative expression. Occupancy rates climbed to 80%, sustaining our income and funding new scholarships. In hallway corners, framed heirloom photos of a younger Marisol and me stood alongside student essays, visual testaments to transformation, private milestones. In our Sintra garden, amid lavender and olive trees, Maria surprised me with a small wooden box. Inside lay 2 rings, simple bands engraved M and J 2026. Maria, you've been my anchor through lies and truths. Will you marry me, truly this time? My throat tightened. Yes, yes, 1,000 times. We slipped the bands on, tears mingling with laughter, sealing our bond in authenticity rather than deception. As summer warmed the air, we finalized our long-term plans. Scholarship expansion, increase annual awards to 5 students, adding mentorships with university journalism departments, guesthouse carbon offset, plant olive groves on the property to fund sustainable hospitality and teach environmental stewardship, family reunions, plan discreet visits for Marisol's Miami relatives to Sintra, under their new identities, fostering unity without exposing our past. Each initiative wove our past sufferings into future hope, proof that redemption could bloom from betrayal's ashes. In a final act of closure, Maria and I returned to the brownstone in New York under full FBI escort. The house stood abandoned, but intact. We entered, now as João and Maria, to collect personal items and seal the place forever. Maria whispered, "This was where I hid from life." Me, "Now it's a marker of survival." We left a handwritten note on the front door for any future occupant. Here lived Marisol Santiago, who found truth in new life. May you honor honesty as she did. We turned the key in the lock, stepped onto the stoop, and walked away, carrying endless potential instead of haunting secrets. In the end, Lottery Lies reminds us that the greatest lottery is not cash won, but the chance to choose truth, forge new names, and write our own destinies.